the trans community, and more specifically, trans women are my people, okay? Trans women are my people. That's how I truly in my heart feel, okay? Um, and so the way that I feel about things is unironically like trans women get my like uncritical, not uncritical, but they get like my some like critical support or uncritical support. Trans women just I will almost never attack another trans person, even if it's like what's that? You know that one girl on Twitter? I think she's on TikTok as well, and she's like a conservative trans woman. She's not Blair White. You know exactly who I'm talking about, right? She recently had the take of like, oh, if you're trans and you still have a penis, like, are you even really trans or whatever? Like that girl. Even though she has some of the most dog shit takes ever. Callie, yes, Callie. Even though her takes are, and let's be honest, okay? They are absolutely dog shit takes. I'm not gonna go hard after her because she's a trans woman. And I no, I agree. I think personally it is also an attention grift. I almost replied to her recent tweet and I said, Kelly, these aren't even getting that many views. You could definitely get like better engagement. I almost unironically said that like Kenny or sorry, not Kelly. I almost said literally that like Kelly, these like these fake outrage tweets are not even getting that many views. Like you could definitely produce better content than this that wouldn't be like a bullshit attention grab, you know? Which is true. But I just don't want to fight other trans people. I don't want to. Like, ultimately, what I want is for trans people and trans women specifically to be able to thrive. So, like, that's why, like, I hung out on 4chan with the 4chan trans girlies. I hung out in, like, fucking Destiny's community, Vosh's community, with the political trans girls. I've been on Twitter with the Twitter trans girls. I've been I have trans friends IRL. I like to talk to trans people who have very different opinions. You know, I enjoy that, and personally I feel like it stops me from not understanding the perspectives of trans people because we have a lot of like well, what I mean to say is I know trans people who aren't like terminally online. Is what I mean to say by that, I guess. I know like but I want to know like about trans femmes, I guess. I want to know about them, and I want to know like what they think or what they want or how they feel or what their lives are like, because I just think that's important. It's like the same reason, like, I don't like to see on Twitter, and it happens not just on Twitter, but it happens like, early transition trans women are the fucking, like, subject of so much internet ridicule. They are the target for fucking conservatives to shit on, to call trans women, like to say, oh, all trans women are man. You know what they pick to, you know who they pick to do that to? They pick like fucking people like I think like Chris or whatever, from Mr. Beast, right? They pick people like her when she's like just announcing she's trans to go after her like, oh my god, you don't even fucking like I think early transition trans women especially get so much shit that even if I think personally, because I'm gonna be real with you, okay? I never did the programmer socks, you know, the fucking stripy programmer socks and the cat ears and the fucking I never had a phase like that. I didn't have the Amazon skirt phase, okay? I didn't have the dress goes spinny thing, you know? I didn't have like the cringe, like the cringe trans Reddit memes, okay? Not to say that I'm perfect, of course. I'm obviously very cringe, but like I didn't have like the cringe phases. And if you like ask me to like, you know, gun to my head, you ask me like, do I think like some of the trans stuff is kind of cringe? I'm gonna be honest with you and I'm gonna say like, yeah, it's a little bit cringe, but is it really worth, as a trans woman, going after another trans woman because she's cringe? Is that really worth it? when like we're getting like attacked for our rights? You know, like, is it really that? Is it really worth it? Is it really, really? Is this what we're spending our energy on? Really? Like, come on, let people be cringe. They'll get through it. You know, like I see so many trans people. And I'm just like, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just like still figuring it out, and that's okay. You know, some people are just figuring shit out, but of course, you'll never get an apology. If you have a like let's say you have your first year of being trans and you're cringe. You know, you're the cringiest of cringe in your first year of being trans, okay? But then 5 years in, you're like not cringe anymore, you know? You've gone through it, you know? And you're chilling. You're not cringe. Like, none of the people who made fun of you or called you a fake trans or called you a trans trender or called you a fucking manager, none of those people will ever acknowledge that they were wrong. Ever. None of them will say, you know? Isn't the whole point of Doma Mavani says being a woman? I didn't follow it, but it could have been, yeah. Um, but there is no one will ever apologize for making fun of you figuring it out after you figured it out. Like, they'll never apologize for it. They'll never give you credit either. They'll just find another earlier transition trans woman than you to attack and move on, you know? In my opinion, it's one of the reasons why I think a lot of the cultural relevance of trans people is kind of centered around early transition trans women. Um, like, there's not a lot of, like, I don't mean, when I say early transition, I don't mean like young, by the way, just to be, I guess, just to clarify. I think a lot of the cultural relevance of trans people is, is around like people in their first and second years of transition, and maybe like 3 or 4 or 5, but mostly like those first 2 years are where like a lot of the thing, because the reality is too, if you're a trans person as well, right? Year one of being trans is the single number one most important thing in your whole life, more than anything. Like, for me, the waiting that I had to do to get on hormones was, it took over my whole life. Every moment was spent thinking about like, how can I speed up the process? Like, how can I get out of this situation? How can I, you know, until I eventually fucking moved to find a doctor, right? Because my doctor wanted me to do some fuck shit to even get on hormones. But like, I had like that like pre-medical transition phase, like my whole life was consumed with the thought of like my transness. And then that first year of transitioning, my whole life was still like, it was so consumed. Like, people talk like, oh, don't you talk about anything else other than being trans? Like, well, fuck, like, no. Like, unfortunately, it's kind of my whole life right now. I have a whole fucking wardrobe that I need to fix. I need to figure out hairstyling. I need to figure out fucking my makeup. I need to figure out my fashion sense. I need to figure out fucking getting on hormones. I need to figure out my voice. Thank you. I need to figure out what the fuck's going on with my sexuality. My fucking, like, what is happening? Like, my skin is fucking changing. What is going on? I need to figure out my fucking, like, people hate me all of a sudden, like, for no reason. I gotta talk to my family about this. I gotta come back to my whole ass family. I gotta, right? Um, it's like, it's overwhelming. But once you get through, like, once you get through the first, like, couple years, like, I notice now, like, I think about being trans so much less. I used to have, I think I've talked about this before on Instagram. I used to have an existential crisis, like, sitting in the bathroom, because I would be in the bathroom, okay? And I would be like, you know, like, whatever, no makeup, like, like, not wearing anything, not presenting myself to anyone, okay? Just existing in my life. And I would be like 3 months, 4 months transitioned, okay, at this point, like 3 months on hormones or so. And I would go into the bathroom and I would sit in the bathroom and I would sit there and I would think to myself, like, who the fuck am I right now? Like, right now, sitting here as I am, just sitting here, who am I? Am I like the girl Aoife? Or am I like the am I still the old boy me? Or am I something entirely different? What like and I would like literally just sit there and I would like think like who the fuck am I? Like what is my gender? In this moment, what is my gender? Devoid of anybody else in the world, as I just sit here alone in a room with no human contact. Like, who am I? You know, what is my gender? You know? I don't do that anymore because like now I know, you know? I've had enough time. I know now. Like I get it, obviously. Like I understand my gender, you know? I'd have moments of course where like I would hang out with I had a couple of moments like this. This is one thing, fuck, this bothered me. I think Grady probably knows. There's a couple people in the fucking Destiny group chat, okay? Fucking hell. I can just tell, okay? I'm sorry. Listen. You can just fucking tell that they are like what they are like turfs in hiding, okay? Like you could just fucking smell it on them, okay? There's just some people. You can just fucking feel it, you know? Um And I remember like talking with these people, I'm like, damn, like some people just, no matter what, they will never really see me as a woman. They'll see me, even if they're like the nicest that they'll be, they'll have like a tier list, a fucking tier list of people, of genders, okay? I think more people than you would expect do this shit, by the way, personally. Um, where they have a fucking tier list of genders, or not, maybe not a tier list, but they have like a graph of genders, okay? And they have like, you know, they're fucking, these are the genders, okay? And this is the spread, basically. Um, Go to tier list or whatever. Okay, but I don't know if I'd have to like input stuff, okay? But basically, okay, basically the way that they have it is yeah. I have a horrifying thought about that. Hold on, my fucking headset died. Give me like 2 seconds, chat. Not that I need it. There's no background noise. Like I don't even need to wear the headset right now. Can I just take it off for now? Because I don't need it, obviously. And my hair looks prettier, probably like this. Okay, so they'd have like basically these like 4 tiers. Okay, so you have like what do you like dark blue or whatever for here, and then you have like light blue here, and then you have purple here, and then you have pink here, okay? And basically, the way that people would separate the genders in their brain, and this is it was one of my least favorite kind of people, okay? Because they think that they're trans allies. They think that they're the kind of people that really think they're allies, but they're really not. But they have in their brain, basically, it goes man, these are the 4 genders, man, trans man, trans women, and then women. And these are the 4 genders in their brain, basically. There's actual man, then there's trans man who are close to man. They're closer to men than they are to women, but they're not really man. And then there's trans women who are close to women, but they're not really women. And then there's women, and these are the 4 genders. Okay, 4 genders, basically, according to these people, and also according to these same people. By the way, non-binary, not real, non-binary. Like if this was non-binary, NB, not real. Like this, there are people like this out there, unironically. Yeah, anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but that used to bother me a lot when I was like early transition. I would be hanging around people and I'd be like, damn, like there's just people out there that no matter like what I do or no matter what, they're just always gonna think of me as like an other, you know? And that's like obviously extremely distressing. Right? But of course, like my thoughts have changed a little bit more recently. It's understated how often people see trans men as crunchy women. What is a crunchy woman? What the fuck does that mean? Does that other feeling go away though? Um, yes and no. Um, the the thing is, like, people can make you feel otherized almost at any point, right? Like, you know, people won't always make you feel otherized, but people can make you feel otherized for almost any reason, you know? Um, like, you can see with kids, right? Like, kids are a weirdly good example, I guess. But, like, kids will otherize other kids for the weirdest fucking reasons, you know? Like, the weirdest reasons they will find to, like, otherize another, like, kid, you know? Like, oh my god, he wore two different shades of red. Oh my god, how embarrassing. Or some shit, you know? Like, for whatever reason, you know? So people can always otherize you for any reason. Um, but the way to think about it is like, and a lot of people have said this, it's not like a new take, but the reality is like, woman is the category that trans women are just a part of. And that means that you're not the same as a cis woman. And you don't have to be the same as a cis woman to be a woman at all, right? You don't have to. You're not the same as a cis woman, and you don't need to be the same as a cis woman. But you will, if you think that you need to be a cis woman to be a woman, you will always feel otherized by the idea of womanhood, always. Um, if you in your brain think that the only way to be a woman is to be exactly like a cis woman, you'll always feel otherized by it because that's the impossible standard to meet. You know, there's no trans woman who's identical like to a cis woman. That's the yeah, true. You're not even there's no woman who's identical to another woman. But the problem is for us and our brains, the cis women have an automatic like maybe not just us in our brains, even like the turfs or anyone that like is fucking serious about gender. And when I say serious, I don't mean like I mean like they take it too seriously, you know? Um Anyone that's like too serious about gender will always think like that any difference is an indication of like a gender issue. Any difference is an indication of a gender issue. Um, so, but it's just not. It's like it's just not. You know. Um, and and the and that for like cis women and like the thing is they have like a I don't know what the right word is. It's like an I win card, right? And the I win card is being born with like you know I don't know what the correct fucking terminology is. Being born, what is it, natal female or something? That's like the I win card, right? Because nobody knows. I was gonna say chromosomes. Nobody like actually has looked at their chromosomes, though. Obviously, you can take a fucking wild guess for 99% of people, or whatever. But like the I win button is like, well, doesn't matter. Like, you could be the most butch, most masculine, you know, human being alive. But if you identify as a woman and you were born born a woman, you you can always claim it. Does that make sense? Whereas even if you're the most feminine like human being of all time ever, because you just don't have that one thing of being born with it, like you don't get that same like it's not you don't get a free pass to it for you know what I mean for anyone, um, including yourself. Obviously, a big part of being trans, especially if you're early transition, is a a battle with yourself. I find. I hope this is helpful. Actually, if you are earlier transition, such a huge part of the early transition journey is like a battle with yourself to accept yourself. That's a that's such a big portion of just transitioning in general is like fighting with your own brain, which wants to tell you that you're not valid. You know, it's like there's a reason there's a meme of like every trans person but me is valid. Um, that's like a natural thing. Like it's maybe natural is the wrong word, but it's like a normal process. Like it's I would say it's probably like more common than not to have like an internal battle with yourself about it, you know? Um, and that's okay. You know, you feel it way, yeah, and it's fine. Obviously, like you just have to go through it and have the battle because the reality is like gender is complicated, and you may not fully identify with being a woman. A lot of trans feminine people go through the process of like they explore womanhood and then they think to themselves like I just don't think that's me, I just don't think that is me, and then they end up being, they say okay, well, I am non-binary or whatever, right? um, or they say I'm just gonna, people identify her with the femboy uh, um, label, right, or something, like, and they explore their gender and they just think like it's just not for me, um, but at the same time, like you kind of have to do that exploration and just figure it out, you're a woman, you feel like a woman occasionally, you'd like to feel like a woman all the time. The reality is too, like you don't always, nobody ever feels like a woman all the time. What you want, I think, ideally, um, rather than to just always feel like a woman, because sometimes you just feel nothing, right? And it's not like that's not a bad, like I don't mean that in the depression where oh I feel nothing, but sometimes you just don't feel anything, right? Like sometimes you're just, I don't know, you're fucking watching a really really good movie or a good YouTube video, and you're just engrossed in it. And in that moment, when you're just sitting there absorbing a YouTube video, what would your gender be there, right? Like, would you really feel like you're a woman sitting there watching a video? Probably not, right? But what I like is not waking up and thinking that I'm a guy ever. I don't do that anymore. Um, I still personally, because like, at the end of the day, I don't know what people consider early transition versus mid transition, late transition, transition over. When is transition over? Never, I think. But what I used to say was because this happened to me with not to get I know we're already kind of having a deep conversation, but not to get too much deeper, I guess. But this happened to me with thoughts of suicidality when I was good, like a lot younger, when I was like 20 or so. So years ago, decades ago at this point. Um, but I I woke up one day after, being super depressed, like wanting to fucking kill myself or whatever. And I woke up one day, and the thought that I had was not. I didn't think to myself, oh, I don't want to kill myself anymore. I never ever had that thought. I never thought that ever. What I did wake up one day and think was, I woke up and I thought, when was the last time that I thought about killing myself? And I couldn't remember. And I think that the way that you can feel about your gender and stuff is that I don't remember the last time that I thought I was that I thought I was a guy. I don't remember it. I don't remember the last time that I really doubted myself or doubted my gender. I don't have it. I have no memory of it. I never woke up one day and was like, "Oh, right, starting today, from today onward, I am a woman and I've finally convinced myself." I just gradually the doubts went from happening, this frequently to this frequently to this frequently, and eventually that number has gotten infinitely close to zero. Um, and it doesn't mean that I'll never think about it ever again. Like there's definitely going to be like a situation, probably, that occurs in my life that makes me like go like, damn, that really shakes me, or that I haven't felt like this in a while. And it, two step forwards, one step back, right? Events like that can make you take a step back and think like, damn, okay, maybe like I thought I had it figured out, but maybe I don't. And I need to like think a lot and reevaluate, and it can shake your confidence. But then you kind of rebuild again, and you go forward again, right? It's like, it's not that bad. It's just a waiting game. And I know it fucking blows. It sucks so hard to be told early transition that you just need to wait. Like, that sucks so hard. But yeah. But yeah, because I'm, at this point, I'm 2 years and 4 months into my transition, which is like reasonable, you know?